Jim here, your host with the most, and it is Friday. Can you believe it? We made it to the end of the week, but we're not done yet. Wait, there's more. Folks, this is all wrong. It is all wrong. And I keep thinking they can't get worse. It can't get more stupid, and then they prove that I am wrong. What is going on, folks? Our system is broken. It is absolutely broken in Washington, D.C. There is no denying it anymore. There's no getting around it. There's nothing we can fucking do about it either. And that's probably the worst part. I'm not feeling exceptionally negative because I know shit has hit the fan. You know shit has hit the fan. We all know shit has hit the fan. There is no way around it. Now, we're going to get into a couple of details here. But we need to understand that as Americans, as patriots, as preppers, we're fucked. The federal government is not on our side. So where do we want to start? Let's start with this. I mean, just there's so much news. Where to start? I would rather stick to philosophical concepts than trying to discuss the news, because the news is disgusting. Number one, it appears that before the Department of Justice, the FBI, Maryland Garlick, or Garland, or whatever the fuck his name is, the Attorney General, before he classified parents, American parents, tax-paying, job-having, responsible parents, before he labeled them as domestic terrorists, both he and the Biden administration worked together on a little plan. Folks, it was coordinated. It was put together. It wasn't haphazard. It wasn't organic. It didn't just occur. It was planned and put together. So Merrick Garland, or Garland Merrick, or whatever the fuck his name is, he was in front of Congress. And Republican congressman after congressman after congressman ripped him up one side and down another on the merits of what has been done. Folks, the merit, the what makes sense. Nothing makes sense right now. And so when you try and make sense with somebody who doesn't, it's oil and water. They don't mix. They separate. There is a clear demarcation line between the retardation of the communists and that of the Republic. I used to think that the Democrats were just pretending. They were just playing around. That they didn't understand logic, reason, the Constitution, law, original founding intent, the Federalist Papers, right? It just seemed like they were playing with it. Because they can find some kind of logic when they need to, right? They can come pretty close to it. But they're still just on the other side of it. It's incredible to me, and it's disgusting, the hypocrisy of the political left. But they don't see it, folks. That's why I think we are in extreme, dangerous times with regard to the federal government. Look at what they're doing with the January 6th protesters that they have labeled as insurrectionists. Those are insurrectionists. They didn't set fire, folks, to the Capitol building. A couple of people did break in, but they were dressed like Antifa, BL, Black Bloc. They broke in, but the rest of them came in through doors opened, greeted by Capitol Police. The media, folks, are complicit, 100%. They are accomplices, both before and after the fact. They are accomplices in this incredible sham. But the political left, the Democrats, they all believe all of this. The media believes it all. We can't count on the federal government. If the federal government comes to you and says, we're here to arrest you, folks, it's all wrong. You think you're going to get a fair shake? You think they're using real law on you? Or are they making shit up? You see, this is where we're getting into dangerous territory with the federal government. Your state government, probably not so much. Your local government depends on the jurisdiction, right? St. Louis, you can get charged with a crime for defending your property, right? What they should have done is arrested all of the protesters for, let's see, trespassing, destruction of private property, violent threats, etc. Instead, it was the other way around, right? The McClotskys, the cul-de-sac commando himself. You know, this is incredible what is going on. Absolutely incredible. And this is where I think the violence is going to stem from, because this is all wrong. Now, number one, I'm not encouraging, promoting, inciting, glamorizing violence, nor recommending anything harmful or dangerous. I am just saying, you, me, we're all at risk from the federal government because they are not applying actual thinking. What they are applying is the power, the force of government. Remember, government has authority, not rights. They have authority granted via the Constitution through the law, right? They have authority because of the law that we gave them. But what they're doing is they are misapplying it. They're using sophistry to change the meaning of words to justify taking actions against you, me, or anyone else in order to fulfill or accomplish their agenda. Remember, they're agenda driven. They are not law driven. You and I obey the law. We look at the Constitution and go, well, I guess we're going to let communists say what they want because, you know, freedom of speech. They look at you and say, you don't have freedom of speech because you're violating hate crimes, hate crime rules. You're hurting someone. You have real intent. That's what they say, right? That's the game they play, is that you and I have real criminal intent when we say, you know, fuck Biden. They would claim that, yeah, that's a legitimate actual threat against the president. But when they hold up a severed head of President Trump with blood dripping out of it, that's just freedom of speech. Folks, it's all wrong. I've been talking about what happens as we go through this process with the government. It's not the government, it's a tyrannical substitute for legitimate de jure government. This is a tyrannical substitute that's in place right now, and it makes up the rules. So let's just take a look back in history, shall we? Go to one of my favorite time periods, 1776. The King of England had no right, folks, no right or authority to do what he did. Now, the king, being the king, has his own personal rights. He has royal rights, but he also has authority, right? But the people also have their rights. England, 1776, folks, not all powerful. Even in England, even in any kingdom, the king has a responsibility to serve the people. I don't know if many people realize or recognize that. Certainly the communists don't. They think government, or whoever is the titular head, regardless of what that title is, has all the rights and all the power and can do whatever the fuck it wants. Not so. Not so. But the king starts to believe he does, and he becomes a tyrant. That's what happened back in the 1700s with King George. Started to believe his own lies. And then the people serving under him are obeying his edicts, his commands, his royal instructions to the detriment of the people. They become tyrants themselves. They become tyrannical instruments of evil. You can't tell me that the federal government out of USDC, that government, the federal USDC government, is not acting in an evil capacity. People are like, we can't use the word evil, John, that's all wrong. Oh, okay, it's okay for the government, the highest authority, the most powerful authority, to call parents terrorists because they don't want their children to be taught damaging, psychologically damaging lies, to be exposed to homosexual pornography, because they don't want their children to be medicated against their will and against their best judgment as parents. That makes them terrorists. Folks, What does the government do to terrorists? This is the next step, folks. I've been trying to describe what tyranny does. Tyranny goes to your home. Tyranny kicks in your door. Tyranny arrests you. Tyranny kills you. When tyranny calls you a criminal, saying you committed a crime, folks, the mere existence as a terrorist is a crime. Because in order to be labeled a terrorist, you must have engaged in the act of using threats to coerce or force someone to behave in a certain way. Using political power as a American person, right, a natural person, using your voting rights, using your free speech is not an act of terrorism. Yet Merrick Garland, the Biden administration, have done just that. Once you're a criminal, folks, they can come after you. Once they deem you a criminal, a terrorist, if you will, they can come and arrest you. So who can they arrest? Anybody they want, by labeling them a terrorist. Isn't that incredible? That is evil because it is a lie, and then they're using the power of the government to enforce a lie. That's just one example. One example. What is coming right now, folks? What is coming? Well, it ain't the Easter Bunny. It's not Santa Claus. What is coming is a whole lot of trouble, a whole lot of pain, a whole lot of suffering. Americans are getting thrown under the bus, drug. Folks, we're getting drug into SHTF. This is all wrong, and it's going to happen. You need to understand that. Hopefully, you're not the first door that gets kicked in. Hopefully, I'm not the first door that gets kicked in. But when it happens, when that starts to happen, believe you me, the world is going to change in a very negative way. Nobody wants their door kicked in. Nobody wants to be arrested under false pretense. Nobody. But it's going to happen. It's going to happen, folks. This is how tyranny always starts, moves through the process, and then ultimately, folks, it leads to serious violent conflict. And it's always, always, always started by the government, not by the people, because we're not demanding anything, folks, that we don't have a right to. All we're demanding is our freedom, our liberty, as individuals, as Americans, as parents. Get prepared now. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and a plan. Get prepared, folks, because times are going to get much harder. Once again, under false pretense, whether that pretense is some domestic terror, whether that pretense is cerveza bug off the hook, wave number 10 mutation, who knows what they're going to come up with. Just know that it's going to be a lie, but there's going to be real consequences for their lies, folks. That's just it. There are real consequences for the lies they're telling because they apply the force of government. I'll be back, folks. The weekend is almost here, but shit has hit the fan, and you have to be ready. Godspeed, Semper Fi.